welcome back to my channel. It's Dan here, and today I'm going to be digging into why most coaches don't use their stories effectively, or they're not really using them in a way that could be having more conversations generated. And let's be honest, right? Your audience, they're watching, they're scrolling, they're doing all the things that you are doing when you go on social media, but they're not doing the next part. They're not really reaching out or interacting with you. So this is what this is about. This has been built for this, and I've created a simple flow that you can use minimum twice a week. You can use it more than that, and it will help you to get in a groove of this and also have people start interacting and starting conversations, because that's what we're doing, right? So I'm going to show you the whole framework, how you can then take it away and use it yourself. Okay, it's built on a formula, and that formula is problem, proof, call to action. So we have at the top here the problem, right? Oh my god, that's not that one, is it? We have the problem. So this is the thing that you're going to highlight to start with. So there always has to be a problem or a frustration or an annoyance or something that you know in your audience that they're finding difficult, right? That's the thing that's going to get people's attention. Shall we call it the hook, right? Something has to grab attention. So to know what the problem is, you need to really understand your audience. So if you don't know that, that's where you need to start. And there's some more videos on my channel that can help you with that. But we need to understand the problem, right? And then we're going to show in the middle proof of this. Now this is the social proof part of it. It could be a message, it could be from a feedback form, it could be a picture, it could be a video, it could be a voice note, whatever. There has to be some form of proof. So the way that what we're doing here is we're going to take someone from seeing the problem that they relate to, then we're going to highlight how you've helped someone overcome this problem, and then we're going to just basically at the end have a call to action. Now that is pretty simple, right? But there's a process to go through to get to this stage, because most people at the moment, and you might be doing this and there's nothing wrong in doing this, right? Most people just post up the picture and they're like, and they don't sometimes put any context with it. It's just like, here's a picture, and expect someone to get what's going on, or they will reshare the post from their feed, and again expect someone to go in and look at it. They're not going to go into it. They need a reason. People need to be told, why do you want me to look at this? What's on the other side of it for me? What am I going to get from this? And always think about that. Try and think about the journey that someone's going through when they're scrolling through a platform, right? It doesn't have to be Instagram, but we'll use it in this instance. They're going through a process, and it has to be something worth them taking away the scroll to then tap into that to read it, right? There's an element of effort and friction there. You need to make that friction less by telling them why they should do it. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, right? This flow itself it mimics the original kind of AIDA principles around marketing. Okay, it's just in a smaller version. So you build trust through the process of awareness, interest, desire, and then getting them to take action. But this is kind of similar, but on a smaller scale, right? You showcasing that proof. That's why you can do it more frequently in your stories and things, right? So there we go. Right, and this one here. So when we get into this one, you're going to be able to use text on the screen. So just simple text on a plain background is probably best. No crazy colors or anything like that. Black and white is probably the easiest to see, but you can use some colors as long as it's plain text. And then we're going to use things like the polls, the stickers. And the first story should really make that person stop. It's not about you. It's not even about your client at this point. It's about calling out the unspoken frustration. That's what we're doing on that first one. So the most frustrating thing about trying to lose weight is like when you're doing everything right and you look down on the scales every day and it's just not budging, or even worse, it's going up, something like that, if that's your audience. But that thing is going to be something that someone can relate to. They're like, yeah, that's really frustrating. You could put a poll here if you wanted to kind of get some extra engagement, stuff like that, right? So that's the second part of the initial part of it, is getting this attention. And it has to be something, again, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning, it has to be something that your audience really relate to. So you have to understand the audience, okay? So when we get to that. Right, next part on here This is optional, right? But we can amplify this a little bit. So we can actually build up that frustration a little bit more and expand on it a little bit more and make them kind of dig deeper into it, because it will build up the kind of emotional connection a little bit. And you could add in some kind of screenshots here of things that they sent you before working with you, or maybe conversations that you had with them across that time where this problem came up, just to highlight the fact of how much it was impacting certain areas of their life, right? Because we want your audience to feel that you understand them and you get them and you resonate with them, and there's no better way than showcasing that through people you work with, right? So this is optional, but it's quite a let me put that in there. It's quite a good way of just increasing it a little bit before we move on to actually showcasing what the proof is. So then we go up here, we've got the proof itself. Now this part is where you're going to share the main proof. Now this is normally where people start. They're just like, here's the proof. Do you remember at the beginning I said this is what happens? We're going to do this now. We're only sharing the proof 2 or 3 kind of story slides in. And that's going to be the win, the message, the image, the voice note, the video, whatever it is. There has to be a reason for someone to get to that stage. So if you don't use before and after pictures or pictures in general, then doing this kind of process is even more important, because you have to be able to build up that that kind of environment of what was happening on. You have to build up the scenario to make sure that people understand it in their world, because a picture sometimes is easier to convey that. So if you're not doing that, if it's not part of your marketing, then using this stuff is really where it's at. It's much more effective as well. So this isn't just about showcasing the big moment. It's about actually getting people to shift the identity, to see themselves in a different space, to see that, oh, this person's been able to do it, I can do it as well, right? So that's why it's really important, this bit here. It needs to be kind of enough. There has to be enough before it to build into it, to really make it powerful. Otherwise it falls flat, and you would have seen it happen. I guarantee it. We've all done it. We've all just shared something that's incredible and nothing's happened. You know, when you share stuff on your feed as well, like no one interacts in that, because sometimes it's just the win or something, the quote, and no one really cares. They care about themselves. They don't really care about other people's experiences and transformational journeys. They're like, what can you do for me? That's what I'm bothered about here. So that's something to think about in this instance. And then the final bit on here I want to kind of get to is the call to action, which is important as well, because this call to action here, normally what happens, people just like, sometimes they don't do a call to action, which if you're doing it in your stories, ideally you want something in there. You're just assuming that people get it. So you need to have something that's really obvious. So a keyword can help. If you're just like, hey, DM me the word John and I'll send this all over to you. When you send stuff across to them, tell them what's going to happen. So if this is something that you're finding frustrating, DM me the word John, and I will send you over the full case study on this process that we did, along with a video explaining what happened, right? You want to make that call to action powerful enough for them to go, oh, I want that. I want to find out more. I want that thing. If it's just, DM me John and for coaching information, it's not the best. It depends on if you've done the stuff before and it's enough with the proof and everything, it might be enough. But actually with a call to action now, we need more in a call to action to be able to then get them to take the next step. We really need to explain what happens once they do this, because someone just won't do it otherwise. They'll just scroll on. So it's not like DM me if you're interested. It's DM me John for the full plan, and make it really clear, visual, easy to follow, because otherwise people will just scroll on. So this part, the call to action, we have a different framework for this within the mentoring. It's a whole separate framework, 4 stages to build out a full call to action. If you want me to create another YouTube video on that, like, just drop it in the comments and I'll get it done. But ultimately, once we run through these, we can then take this format and we can use it in different ways. Now, as you would have noticed, if you're going through, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 stories there. There we go. There's 4 stories there when we get into it. So 4 slides of the story. So what we want to do is, you can mix this up. We can sometimes use maybe like 3 stories, and you might cut one of these out. For example, you might not have the optional part in it, you just might use 3. 4 stories is what we got there, or 5 we can then build on it as well. So if we use 5 stories, we're kind of adding an extra element in it. For me, it doesn't really matter what you're doing with it, but there has to be some kind of focus on like a structure behind the message or the win or the thing that you want to kind of big up. Make sure it's given enough attention, because otherwise it's like you're just sharing stuff and hoping people pick up on it, and then that's not a strategy as well. Using something like this has more of a process to it. And actually, if you want a full like framework for this, if you check out the description below, there's a link to a document. It's got the whole structure and template for you to use this, along with some examples in there as well. And so you can grab it, make it your own, create your own versions of it. What I would do is something like this is create a version to test and then run it. Use like do 2 a week to start with, assess the effectiveness of it, and then either increase it, so do like another one, or maybe you mix up some of the proof and everything. But the ones that do get feedback and interaction and conversations going, like make a note of them, keep that, track it somewhere, and then you've got that you can then repeat on another basis. Because anything that works, when you find out it works, keep hold of it and repeat that process and understand why it works. So if you've found this useful, please let me know. Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. If you listen to this and you're like, actually, yeah, that's really useful, I'm going to go away and do it. If you have any questions, please let me know as well. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because I'm putting these videos out every single week at the moment. So I'll see you in the next one.